If you're looking for an end-to-end contract management platform, you've come to the right place. I'm Budi Voogt, founder of Contracko. Let me tell you why I started this business. My history is in the music industry, where I managed artists and ran a record label. There, we dealt with a lot of intellectual property and arrangements with respect to our artists and the music that we controlled. So one of the things that set us apart was that we were really on top of managing all our paperwork. But when I eventually sold the business, I realized how much more on top of it we could have been and what a pain point it was for us. So as I thought about my next step, I realized this is something that could be done better, but I wanted to do it more broadly, not just for music. And that led to the dawn of Contracko. So I'm logged into the application right now, and I'm going to walk you through Clara, the AI assistant, how to manage contracts, how to set deadlines and reminders, how contract types work, parties, basically all our features. But I'm going to do a quick skim. You can click throughout this video, and also if you're interested in trying the product, you can sign up for a trial, which we have for free, or you can book a time with me to see if Contracko is the right fit for your organization. Okay, let's get started. So as you log in, you're greeted by Clara, which is our conversational AI assistant. She can help you identify priorities and do all the tasks that you can manually do in the application. For example, we can ask Clara to give us our priorities, and she's going to work on that. And it flows like you're used to with ChatGPT, for example. In this demo account, I don't have any contracts expiring soon, but she has identified that I have some contracts pending review. So you could do that in chat, but you can also do it yourself. Now, that's a good opportunity for us to take a look here. So when you bring contracts into Contracko, it triggers an AI extraction. That means AI is going to get all the contracts fields out, but it's also going to run an AI analysis on risks, liabilities, and so forth. You can get contracts into Contracko in different ways. You can upload them like this, and just upload multiple of them. You have a custom email address that you can email contracts to, but we also have a Zapier integration, which you can connect to e-signature providers or your cloud hosting of choice, so that it could track a folder. So when a contract comes in this case a data processing agreement, you'll see that the document is stored and all this key information here is extracted. Contracko will get all this information and you can scope access within your organization to individuals, to groups, and it will also track the counterparties. So for example, here for Richmond, you're able to add even more information. So who's the contact person? What contracts do we have with this party? And so forth. Contracko tracks all the key contract dates, which matter, of course. So is a contract open-ended? Does it automatically renew? And what it does is when those dates pass, like let's say a renewal date is hit, all the dates will shift forward, including any events and notifications that are anchored to it. So in this case, we don't have any notifications for this data processing agreement. So why don't we set one up? We'll go to the editor. Here, there's an annual review. Let's see, let's add something else. Maybe we'll say quarterly check-in. And we're going to say, maybe we start this by end of June, repeating once a quarter. And then we want the notification to be sent, I need to shift this a little bit, 7 days before. And for the notifications, what's really great is if you have multiple teammates, then you can assign these notifications to different people in your team. So you could escalate it, for example. So you could have a notification a month before. Let's just do that. And then one that happens 7 days before. So let's make this 1 week. This should be 1 week. Yep. Okay. So you would save that, and now you have a nice waterfall basically that happens. So here you could see the repeating event with the notifications, and since these are all linked to one another, when the dates, the contract renews, for example, everything will shift, and then also these events are repeating quarterly, so it's also going to change your notifications quarterly. Files in Contracko work in the following way. We have primary documents, so basically the core document that we drive the extraction from, but also related documents. So any associated appendices like a data processing agreement or a scope of work can be added here. You can also run an AI extraction on those so that you can use them to complement whatever information already exists or overwrite existing data. And you can mark contracts data. So you could say, okay, well, this is the previous version, or I want to upload a new version, which is going to change the current version to the last one, or draft. You can view all of them here. Now, something else that our system does is it tracks an audit trail of how the data in a contract came to be. When you work with a team, this is great because you're able to see how everyone has contributed. And that's also available when you run an export. So the export will give you the files, a spreadsheet with all the information in the contract, and a separate spreadsheet with all the audit trails, which is great for backing out redundancy when you're being audited, maybe in mergers and acquisitions if you're creating a data room. And lastly, you can leave comments. So I could say here, happy with this letting renew. Next, let's look at the AI analysis. So our system doesn't only extract the key dates, but it will also analyze the contract for you. In this case, it will flag for you any weaknesses in a contract. So for example, a significant concern is the absence of a liability cap. And then you can go to the specific items, and where possible, it's going to highlight in the contract where it got that item. So for example, no liability cap protects your organization from damages. So this is basically a gap in the contract that it's found where liability is not capped, which is quite burdensome, and you may want to renegotiate. It will look for obligations, so which ones are dated, which have to be done by a particular date, which ones are triggered. So for example, when the contract's terminated here, you have to return your personal data, and it will highlight it in the document. And any ongoing obligations as well. And then any separate liabilities. In this case, none are flagged. Great. Now, maybe you'll have noticed that this is a data processing agreement. So if you go to types, you can create common data types for contracts you deal with a lot in your business. You can create these from templates. We have very many. In this case, let's say you were to choose data processing agreement. We have a preset for this. You could use this template and then you could modify it or just work with all these fields. You'll see that there are single select fields for which you can enter the options. You could create a Boolean, yes, no, text fields, basically anything that represents a contract type that you deal with a lot. And what our system will do is when it analyzes a contract, it's going to try match the associated type. And if it doesn't exist, it's going to create one, and it will always try pull from the template library that we have first. Excuse me, we have very many types, as you see, and you could sort maybe by type of business that you run. Let's say you went to MSA, you'll find a relevant template and so forth. Next, we have our parties library. Some of our users have multiple entities. Let's say you run a multinational organization. What you're able to do here in this dummy account, you'll see that I have multiple parties flagged as our entity. What that will tell our system is basically that you will be the party A in a contract and that anybody else will be the counterparty. And you can store the relevant information for a party, like their address details, contact person, contracts, activity. Next, we have a calendar feature. Here you could see everything in terms of events and notifications that are coming up. But what I really love is our calendar integration. So depending on whether you're a Google, Apple, or Outlook user, you can press this link and then get all the calendar details for all the contracts into your calendar and update it in real time. So if you add a new contract or change notifications, they're going to be pulled in on the sync schedule of your tool. Next, we have a reporting feature. What you're able to do is scope this down. For example, here, let's say I want to see everything that I have with this company. You're able to scope that down, see when the expirations are happening, and you can share these type of views externally, or you can run an export and get a PDF. Users use this to run management meetings, for example, to look at vendor concentration or how many contracts are up for renewal or renegotiation that can be investigated. Next is our new signature feature. This is really lovely because it makes Contracko an end-to-end contract management tool. So what you can do is you can create a signature request for one or multiple files. You can select counterparties, do sequential signing in case you want one person to sign first, then the other. And as soon as something is signed, it's going to go into our system, trigger an AI extraction, set up those automated deadline reminders. So you have a really neat flow. And then we have our parser. So parser is a unique feature of Contracko within the CLM space. Basically, what this allows you to do is you can select multiple contracts. And what it's going to do is extract all the data and output it into spreadsheet format for you. Sometimes this is useful for people doing audits, people who want to supplement using Contracko with their own Excel database, for example. And you can also run these batch extractions together with a contract type. So you get those custom fields. And in this case, I've chosen the data processing agreement. This works on a per credit basis. So you can even use this without a contract management subscription in Contracko. First 20 credits are free. So definitely go ahead and take a look. And then maybe you'll enjoy learning about our collaboration features. So in Contracko, you are able to invite multiple team members. You can scope their permissions. So commenters, editors, managers, and admins. For example, a viewer or commenter cannot modify the data of a contract, whilst the manager can also modify access. And groups allow you to work across departments. So you can have a finance team, an operations team, and so forth. Now, one of the cool features I love that we have that also sets us apart is a translation feature. So you could select to have all contracts be extracted in the document's source language. So let's say I put English in and I get English out. But you could also translate to a language of choice. This is useful for organizations who do business cross-lingually. For example, you are a Chinese-speaking company, but you deal with a lot of English contracts. You want to make sure you store and centralize those documents, but you want to get everything extracted and readable in simplified Chinese. Then you could do that by selecting this toggle. We support two-factor authentication and single sign-on on our big business plan for security. And so you can govern two-factor authentication. And we have API key support for our parser, and we support Zapier. So that means if you don't want to use our e-signature, you could connect it with whatever e-signature platform you like. You could also monitor folders in your cloud storage so that any file added in that folder will be automatically added. And we can do much more for this with this, so we're very eager to hear if you are missing an integration or would like us to add more. Then in terms of billing, you can find more detailed billing information on the website, but I'll just explain briefly the way we've thought about pricing. So Contracko prices around the number of active contracts. That's the best indicator and proxy for how much value you're getting. You will get basically uncapped signatures within your contract plan. So like, let's say you're on this plan, then you can track 300 active contracts, you'll get 15 users and unlimited reminders, and then basically uncapped signatures up until this level of contracts. Now you'll see there are increments from 100 to 300 to 600. If you fall in between, what you can do is take one of these plans and add an expansion pack. So you could add another 100 contracts and 5 users at a reduced rate, basically. For users who need something special, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss custom pricing if you're doing volume. And if you find we are missing some particular features, definitely reach out. I'm happy to discuss. I think what sets Contracko apart is how quickly we're developing, how AI first the platform is. And I always love hearing from customers and their industry specific use cases. Now, how can you get started? Contracko has a free trial. So what you can do is go to contracko.com and sign up with your free trial. Or if you want to talk to me, go ahead here and book a demo and find a time for me. I am in the Netherlands, so if nothing works, just email me and I'll come back to you. There's a contact form. And thank you so much for your time. I'm Budi Voogt, and this was Contracko. I hope we can help you get your contracts in order.